welcome to your lecture on the Introduction to Cells. Cell structure is one of the ways in which organisms differ from each other. The diversity that exists range from simple prokaryotic cells to complex multicellular organisms. In the picture here, you have cocci-shaped bacteria on the left, and your complex multicellular organism is actually a Dumbo octopus. The longest cell is the nerve cell. It is believed that there are more nerve cells in your brain than there are stars in the Milky Way. If you look at the picture on the right of the nerve cell, you might notice that there are some cells that are surrounded in the myelin sheath, and those are actually called Schwann cells. They are named after Theodore Schwann, who was one of the scientists to study animal cells in our last lecture, and contributed to the formation of the cell theory. The largest single cell is the ostrich egg. It is just one cell. And the smallest human cell is the sperm cell. The Miller-Urey experiment helped to answer the question, where did life come from? They put chemicals that were known to be present on early Earth in a closed system. They added sparks, which simulated lightning, and after weeks, both amino acids and parts of nucleotides were found. The simplest life forms exhibiting cellular structure are prokaryotes. The word prokaryote literally means before the nucleus. Pro means before, and karyote means nut or kernel, and it refers to the nucleus. And there are two types of bacteria, the eubacteria and archaebacteria. And this picture shows you a lot of variety of each type. Prokaryotes are simple and small. They do not contain a nucleus. They do have a cell membrane, cytoplasm, and ribosomes, and they divide by binary fission. All prokaryotes are bacteria. Lynn Margulies was a scientist that studied where organelles come from. She proposed that organelles like mitochondria were once free-living cells or bacteria themselves, and they were engulfed into a larger cell, a larger bacteria, and stayed there to perform a specific function. So in this image, you have three different types of bacteria. One is a photosynthetic bacteria. One is an oxygen-breathing bacteria. And the membrane-bound organelles were created from deep folds in the cell membrane. Over time, one of these bacteria engulfed these other types of bacteria, the oxygen-breathing bacterium and the photosynthetic bacteria, and they became the mitochondria and chloroplasts that we know about today. They evolved to just do very important processes within the cell and not be simple cells themselves. There is a lot of evidence that supports this theory, and one of those pieces of evidence is that mitochondria and chloroplasts, they have their own DNA. Your mitochondria has its own circular DNA, just like a bacteria, and you get your mitochondrial DNA from your egg cell. So you can thank your mother for your mitochondrial DNA. Most eukaryotic organisms are multicellular. However, not all of them are. In multicellular organisms, each cell has a specialized role or function. For example, a nerve cell, a blood cell, a skin cell. They all do a specific function to help the organism as a whole. Eukaryote means good or true, and karyote means nut or kernel, so good or true nucleus. Eukaryotic cells are more complex. They do contain a nucleus, and they have specialized structures called organelles, which are kind of tiny little organs that help the cell do its jobs. They divide through a process called mitosis, and examples of eukaryotic cells are animal and plant cells. Also, we've talked about fungi and protists, which are under the domain eukarya. So if you compare prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, you will find that they have a lot of things in common. They both have cell membranes. They both have cytoplasm. They both have DNA. They both have ribosomes. However, they have a lot of differences as well. Prokaryotes do not have a nucleus, while eukaryotes do. Prokaryotes do not have membrane-bound organelles like mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum, the Golgi apparatus, and eukaryotic cells do.